Hey everyone, welcome back to our journey through the Bible. Today we're diving into a really heavy and complex part of King David's story, found in 2 Samuel chapters 13 and 14. This is a tough read, but it holds some incredibly important lessons about family, justice, and the consequences of our actions. So, let's set the scene. King David has many children, and the story focuses on three of them: his oldest son Amnon, his beautiful daughter Tamar, and another son, Absalom, who is Tamar's full brother. The chapter opens with a dark obsession. Amnon develops a consuming, unhealthy infatuation with his half-sister Tamar. He becomes so sick with this twisted love that he can't function. Amnon's cousin, a man named Jonadab, who is described as a very shrewd man, notices this. Instead of steering Amnon toward what's right, he devises a wicked plan. He tells Amnon to pretend to be sick, and when his father, King David, comes to visit, he should ask for Tamar to come and prepare food for him. The plan works exactly as Jonadab laid it out. When Tamar arrives to care for her brother, Amnon forces himself on her. Tamar pleads with him. She begs him not to do this wicked thing, pointing out the shame it would bring upon them both and how it would tarnish his own reputation in Israel. She even suggests he could speak to the king, implying there might be a legitimate way for them to be together. But Amnon refuses to listen. His lust overpowers any sense of morality or compassion. After the horrific act, something even more disturbing happens. The intense love Amnon felt for Tamar turns into an even more intense hatred. He despises her and throws her out of his house, treating her with utter contempt. Tamar is devastated. She tears her robe, a symbol of her royal status and purity, puts ashes on her head, and walks away, weeping. Her brother, Absalom, finds her in this state. He immediately understands what has happened and is filled with rage, but he tells Tamar to be quiet for now and brings her into his own home, where she lives in desolation. Now what about King David? When he hears about this, the Bible says he was furious. But he does nothing. He doesn't punish Amnon. Why? Perhaps because Amnon is his firstborn son, his heir. Whatever the reason, his inaction creates a festering wound within the family. Justice is not served, and this failure to act will have catastrophic consequences. Absalom, on the other hand, does not forget. He holds a deep, silent grudge against Amnon. For 2 full years, he doesn't say a word to Amnon, good or bad. But he's just biding his time, planning his revenge. Then, Absalom sees his opportunity. He hosts a big sheep-shearing festival and invites all the king's sons, including Amnon. David is hesitant to let Amnon go, but Absalom persuades him. At the feast, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, Absalom gives a signal to his servants, and they strike Amnon down, killing him. The other brothers panic and flee. A rumor reaches King David that Absalom has killed all his sons. David is thrown into deep mourning, tearing his clothes. But then Jonadab, the same shrewd cousin who helped Amnon, shows up. He tells the king not to worry, that only Amnon is dead, and that this was Absalom's plan all along, ever since the day Amnon violated Tamar. With Amnon dead, Absalom flees into exile. He stays away for 3 years. Over time, King David's anger subsides, and he begins to long for his son Absalom. This is where Joab, David's army commander, steps in. He sees the king's unresolved grief and hatches a clever plan. Joab sends for a wise woman from Tekoa and tells her to pretend to be a widow in mourning. She goes to King David with a fabricated story about her 2 sons. She claims one killed the other, and now the rest of the family wants to execute the remaining son, which would leave her with no heir and extinguish her husband's name. David, moved by her story, promises to protect her son. The woman then skillfully turns the story back on the king himself. She says, "If you're willing to protect my son, why won't you bring back your own banished son, Absalom?" She points out that by keeping Absalom in exile, the king is acting as if he is guilty. David realizes he's been played and asks if Joab is behind this. The woman admits he is. Convinced, David tells Joab to go and bring Absalom back. But there's a catch. David allows Absalom to return to Jerusalem, but he refuses to see him face to face. So for 2 more years, Absalom lives in Jerusalem, but is completely cut off from his father, the king. Absalom, who is described as being incredibly handsome with no blemish from head to toe, becomes more and more frustrated. He tries to get a meeting with Joab, but Joab ignores him. So Absalom takes a drastic step. He sets Joab's barley field on fire. This finally gets Joab's attention. He confronts Absalom, who explains that he'd rather be dead than live in Jerusalem without seeing the king. Joab relays this to David. And finally, the king agrees to see his son. Absalom comes before the king, bows down, and David kisses him. It seems like a reconciliation, but the years of bitterness, injustice, and separation have already planted seeds of rebellion that are about to sprout in a terrifying way. These chapters are a powerful and tragic look at a dysfunctional family, even a royal one. They show us how unchecked sin, the failure to administer justice, and harbored bitterness can tear a family apart and lead to even greater tragedy. It's a sobering reminder of the importance of doing what's right, even when it's hard. Thanks for watching and reflecting on this with me. It's a lot to take in, but these stories are here to teach us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.